Yes. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the September 5th, 2024 conference meeting of the Mobile County Commission and call the meeting to order. And I don't think we have any speakers this morning, but we do have a presentation, and I'm going to have Cherie introduce our guest.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today we have Phil Walker with the Walker Collaborative, and he will give an abbreviated presentation of the plan presentation that was done last night in a public meeting at Bishop State Community College. The group that he put together is a varied group of consultants ranging from economic development, placemaking, branding, etc. And they brought a lot of experience to the table, and it was a pleasure working with them. So with that, I'll turn it over to Phil Walker.
Okay, thank you, Cherie. And as you can notice, abbreviated version. This isn't last night's version. I know I need to keep it under 10 minutes, but appreciate the opportunity to be here. Freddie Stokes was the county's project manager. Of course, this is a project of Commissioner Ludgood, and you can kind of see the list of consultants. I'll spare you from that right now. But the project was to prepare a community-driven, and that's really important, not a consultant-driven, community-driven master plan for a civil rights and cultural heritage district for the county. That is the avenue being the main spine, with three overarching goals. Number one, preservation of historic sites, interpreting the district's really rich stories, and heritage tourism resulting in revitalization, however, without gentrification or displacement. And we have a whole strategy that addresses that. So what is a heritage district? And there really aren't any firm definitions out there, so we had to kind of make up our own based on other similar areas, but we're calling it a cohesive and discernible area with a set of themes, stories, and sites to be preserved and enhanced, interpreted, and promoted. And we looked at a bunch of case studies of similar places, and so that was part of our inspiration on this. This is a 5-step project. We're kind of at the end right now, but there's been a lot of public engagement all along. The last time the team was here, it was May. We did this big 5-day charrette with a workshop at the front end, presented at the back end, got a lot of great feedback, and we presented last night, got more input, and we'll make final revisions later on, especially hammering out some of the details on implementation. So this is kind of an overall map of the area. And when you look at the physical planning issues, of course, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue is the main, that purple, the main spine of the area, kind of going southeast to northwest. Then you got Beauregard and Broad, kind of on that east side. And the gate, so we broke this up into kind of 3 areas. If you see these 3, those are quarter-mile circles that are a 5-minute walk. And we've got 3 basic areas. The gateway area furthest to the east, that is on the right, adjacent to downtown. And that'll be where a lot of these key anchor sites are located there. The idea of the interpretive center that we're proposing, a big park, would be part of that. Bishop State area is that middle area, and that's kind of the dominant. That would be particularly institutional and mixed use. The Central High area on the west end, of course, Central High is the main anchor. We see that as being still a place where people would want to go and hear the story and interpretation would occur, but it's a little bit more community serving maybe than, say, that east end. Now, if you go back to the gateway area that is on the east, this is the urban design plan. The dark gray buildings are existing, and there's some key anchors there, like the Historic Avenue Cultural Center, which was the Davis Library, the ILA Hall, Ace Theater, the newly developing, as we speak, Isom Clemens Civil Rights Memorial Park. We're proposing a 10,000 square foot interpretive center. That's the blue color over there, where it says F, and a proposed park that would be adjacent, the letter G, shows that. So that's kind of the overall, but you can see all the new infill development. Anything that's a building that has color to it, not dark gray, is new. And because of this weird street grid where it comes in at an angle at the south, you get these triangular pieces of property that are really wonderful infill development opportunities to kind of activate the street a little bit more, right? And then this is what it could look like. So you've got, in the foreground, that there's a church there, Stone Street further back there. In the very back is the existing Davis Library. The interpretive center is shown in front of that. You can see the park in front of that. A lot of that would be new infill development, but obviously, so in other words, if you take this is what it would become, okay? And the larger one on the right, you can see the skyline of downtown. Bishop State area, we didn't get into detailed, we came up with design principles to follow, but because of the proposed branch development, we didn't want to interfere with that and come up with our own plan. We did coordinate quite a bit with them, but you've got Bishop State, you've got the elementary school. 1 Mile Creek Park is something we're proposing, the letter C, and the creek runs through there. MLK Park is an existing one that we recommended some improvements on. This is now looking at Central High, and again, the dark gray buildings are existing. There aren't quite as many infill opportunities there, infill development, other than a lot of housing could go in. You can see the yellow buildings. There's one spot that's right across from Central High where you could do some added commercial development. This is what that area could look like. If you look at the left, the first 2 buildings exist. The third one would be new infill that would be compatible, but it could be commercial like retail. The idea on the school, of course, the school is being used for educational purposes again, but you could still have special events like we're depicting here and things like that. So, and the design of the street, by the way, is exactly what the city's proposing with their redevelopment of the street. And then commercial development. So this is about, I think, the only surviving theater, and theaters are really important to this district historically, but this is what you could do with that theater. You could, in other words, here it is now, and you could either rehab it for a theater again. It could be dining, retail, mixed use. There could be a lot of different things, but that could be a really exciting project. We did a lot of different prototypes of new retail development. These are just the smaller scale of the many that we have in the plan. And if you look at housing, the number 1 priority would be to rehabilitate existing housing. And you've already got great examples of that. And there are state and federal tax credits, for rehab work that follows, certain standards. But if you look at that top right building, that's an existing one yet to be rehabbed. The one below it is right next door. And it's a great model for future rehabilitation of houses like that. So the second priority on housing would be new infill development. And again, you've got great models to borrow from. If you look at the existing housing on the left, that's actually near Central High. You look at the right, this is on, I think that's Congress, new infill housing, but you can see the way it echoes the same scale and character of the historic buildings. And we did a bunch of prototypes. These are just 3 examples for new infill housing. When it comes to mobility, of course, the city's plan west of Broad in detail. We're looking at the section, since it's not part of that project, east of Broad. And right now at the top, the existing is just 2 travel lanes, 1 in each direction, no designated on-street parking. What we're proposing is that you tighten up the width of those, which is good for traffic calming, tighten up the width of the driving lanes. You can actually add 1 parking lane on either side of the street, depending on where, adjacent developments. So that's the main idea for that, that street. Public spaces and art, those are important. If you look at that legend, the light green is what's existing, and the only thing you really have right now is Martin Luther King Park. We recommended some minor improvements to that. In progress, as I mentioned, Isom Clemens Civil Rights Memorial Park. We've proposed the 2 dark green parks, the 1 Mile Creek Park, and then where that little asterisk is, the Gateway Park. And there are some great opportunities for public art, like sculpture. And I don't know if you can see it if you're in the back, but the little purple areas, these are these triangular areas. This area, more than any other, the Gateway area, offers opportunities because, again, of the street configuration and these areas where you could put art and by the way, the Mobile Arts Council has experience with art competitions. They would be the natural entity to kind of help on that. These are just examples from other places. Greenwood, where we've been to in Tulsa, that's a mural on the side of a building. I've just kind of cropped it, and Montgomery and Birmingham all have great examples. But we think when you do public art, you got to make it big, make it bold, right? And when it comes to the economic market strategy, The market strategy, the interpretive center would be a key anchor that would drive a lot of other business. There should be an affiliation with Africatown because it's got national recognition, and we can kind of play off that. Self-guided tours, and tours can extend far beyond our district, such as Africatown, Hank Aaron Home, and so forth. The target markets would include Mobile residents, family and friends, heritage visitors, and there's a lot of different subcategories. People interested in African American heritage, civil rights, labor movements, and of course there's Mardi Gras visitors, people coming to and fro the beaches, cruise folks, and so forth. And then if you look at the targeted business mix, this came out of the market analysis that our economists performed, and things like destination restaurants, specialty food, live entertainment, pharmacies. There's a rich history in this district of pharmacies, as you may know. And yet, at the same time, there's actually market demand for that, which is a great thing. So that's kind of a real snapshot of that part of it. And then winding up here, telling the story, there are 4 key themes that we want to tell. The Avenue's history is rooted in a Civil War camp that has links to Africatown. The Avenue was a vibrant Main Street, prior to desegregation. The Avenue served as a backdrop for the Civil Rights Movement, and then urban renewal and some other governmental programs, really gave it a blow, unfortunately. We've recommended an oral history program to kind of help research more stories to tell. The communication strategy is kind of a 4-piece thing, and I'm not going to go into detail in the interest of time, but I do want to show you the logo that came out of this, the branding. And I think it's a great logo because it's very identifiable, and it's showing the street in the foreground, and a sun in the back is kind of the bright future, and a lot of colorful. That could be interpreted as African art or pieces from a church stained glass window. And then these are different ways you can use it. The shortening would be the district, and here's just examples of how you can apply that branding. Wow, I made it, right? 10 minutes. That's it. And I know it's like drinking from a fire hose with all that, but I'm here as long as you want. And even after I answer any questions you might have now, I'll hang out, and if you want to chat later on. So.
And then you have one of these too. Okay. For the full plan.
The interpretive center,
Mm-hmm.
what do you envision all happening within the scope of that?
Yeah, great question. If you didn't hear the questions about the interpretive center, and that would be located immediately to the left or kind of northwest of the Davis Library. We're looking at roughly 10,000 square feet. Of that, 7,500 would be exhibit space, and telling all these stories based on the themes that we outlined. And then the other 2,500 square feet would be a gift shop, a lobby area, maybe meeting space, things like that. And there would, as we say in the plan, the next step, well, first of all, you have to secure the property, and then the other thing, though, would be doing a feasibility study that goes into a lot more detail. One thing about a plan like this, because it covers so much territory, to implement any piece of it, usually there is a next step, whether that's engineering of something or whatever. And in this case, probably the next step would be looking at the feasibility study. But our economists did address a whole variety of different funding sources for it.
Very nice, very nice.
Great.
Beautiful plan.
Thank you. Thank you. Should I unplug this thing now? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Phil, for being here, and thank you for your presentation. And if we don't have any other speakers, I believe we move on. Mr. Kerr.
Good morning, Commissioners. Item 1, approve a list of claims. 2, approve alcohol license application to transfer off-premise retail beer and table wine from Burns Corner Store to NNJ for The Corner on Highway 188 in Codin. 3, authorize advertising for bids for chilled water piping repairs at Mobile Metro Barracks. 4, Award bid to Gorham Air Conditioning for Mobile Government Plaza heating, ventilation, and air conditioning valves upgrade for their total bid in the amount of $56,800. 5, approve amending the Mobile County Commission September 11th, 2023 minutes, agenda item number 36, to include agenda language as follows: amending the 2021 capital improvement plan to revise the estimated cost for the following projects: Public Works camera system for camps 1, 2, 3, and 4, decreasing estimated cost from $660,000 to $538,205, and transferring $121,795 to new electronic controlled access gate and fence at camps 2, 3, and 4, with new project budget of $238,205. 6, award bid to Tyndall Construction for new electronic controlled access gate and fence for camps 2, 3, and 4 for their total bid in the amount of $432,670,000, with funding as follows. 7, award bid to Clear Path Restoration for Mobile Government Plaza smoke damper repairs for their total bid in the amount of $78,730.24. 8, adopt a resolution approving policy of Mobile County Commission procedures to comply with Alabama Open Records Act as amended and effective October 1st, 2024. 9, approve assignment to Dell Consulting for Mobile Metro Jail temporary heating, ventilation, and air conditioning power distribution upgrades. The work will consist of design, construction documents, submittal review, and project administration associated with this project to provide installation of power distribution to support temporary heating, ventilation, and air conditioning units for the 400, 600, 900, 1,000, and 1,200 buildings upon failure of one of the permanent units in the amount of $11,116. 10, approve appropriation contract with Mobile Regional Senior Community Center Foundation in the amount of $13,200 from District 2 Commission funds for landscape services at Connie Hudson Mobile Regional Senior Community Center. 11, approve appropriation contract with Dedicated Dentist in the amount of $5,000 from District 1 Education funds for its free dental day. 12, approve professional services contract with O'Neill Publishing in the amount of $6,000 from District 1 Education funds to provide digital platform management and consultation services. 13, approve appropriation contract with Board of School Commissioners of Mobile County in the amount of $48,365.38 from District 3 Education funds for band uniforms, ice machine, softball scoreboard, and help with travel expenses to the Walt Disney Cook Around the World competition for Baker High School.
That cooking competition, just to remind everyone, we sponsored, or I guess I sponsored Baker High School cook team last year. They went to Disney World and they won first place. So just to give everybody a reminder, and they'll be going back this year, and maybe they'll come back with another first place trophy on that.
14, approve appropriation contract with Fostering Together Gulf Coast in the total amount of $5,000 for its Fostering Hope Gala fundraiser, funds divided as follows. 15, approve appropriation contract with Sims Baseball Association in the amount of $6,000 from District 2 Education funds for scoreboards. 16, approve sponsorship agreement with Mobile Law Enforcement Foundation in the total amount of $1,500 for its annual luncheon, with funds divided as follows. 17 will be revised as follows. Approve sponsorship agreement with Southwest Mobile County Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $1,200 from District 3 Commission funds for its sporting clay shoot fundraiser. Approve contract with the University of South Alabama for archaeological studies to conduct a cultural resource assessment for a county-owned historic structure in Africatown. 19, approve contract amendment number 5 with Thompson Engineering for Mobile County Civil Rights and Cultural Heritage District Master Plan to add Task 5, Building Assessment of the Crawford Law Firm. Number 20, we will ask be voted at conference. Approve waiving all adoption fees for active military, veterans, and first responders in remembrance of Patriot Day for the Mobile County Animal Shelter's Brave Hearts and Wagging Tails, a Heroes Adoption event for September 9th through September 14th.
So moved.
21, approve professional services contract with Bay Nursing to provide nursing services for detainees at Strickland Youth Center for next fiscal year with cost as follows. 22, approve professional services contract with Lynn Young to provide medical care for detainees at Strickland Youth Center in the total amount of $36,000 for next fiscal year. 23, approve professional services contract with Susan J. Lee, a registered and licensed dietitian, to provide professional food service management consulting services at Strickland Youth Center in the total amount of $6,000 for next fiscal year. 24, approve professional services contract with Stefurak Psychological Consulting to provide training, oversight, and support evaluation of master's level mental health professionals in conducting psychological evaluation of juveniles at Strickland Youth Center in the total amount of $18,750. 25, approve professional services contract with Dr. James R. Stefurak to provide psychological evaluations for detainees at Strickland Youth Center in the amount of $1,000 per completed evaluation and $100 per hour for court testimony. 26, approve professional services contract with Sean Purnell Rogers to provide barber services for juveniles at Strickland Youth Center in the amount of $150 per 2.5 hour visit weekly. 27, approve agreement between Mobile County Commission and the Bridge to operate individual and family counseling and case management services program and an in-home counseling program for boys and girls in the amount of $1,066,460.
How does this contract work? Was that bid? Was that put on a bid, or?
This man can answer for anybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. No, it's not bid. It's a professional service contract. Money flows from Department of Youth Services to the
Okay.
county commission. And then Judge Naaman has always recommended who gets the contract.
Okay. That was where the money came from and how it was awarded. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff.
I figured you were here. I'd get you to come up and tell us something anyway. Sorry,
28.
Eddie, go ahead.
Approve professional services contract with Peter Roston to provide computer networking and IT services at Strickland Youth Center in the amount of $88,000. 29, approve professional services contract with Samantha Mead Williams to provide a communications audit and resources plan for the James T. Strickland Youth Center from the time of execution until January 1st, 2025 in the amount of $18,500.
What's that? What's the communications audit and resources?
Basically, in the first contract, this is the part 2 of 2. The first contract, we didn't know what data we could collect at the youth center with so many different departments there. And so she came in and met with all the staff and all the different departments of the main building at the youth center to look at what we can possibly gather that we're not gathering. What we found out was there's a lot of potential of data we can gather that's not being utilized. So we met back with Judge Naaman, she made recommendation through a report, and then we're gonna have her come back, assemble committees to meet with all the different departments to implement the data, have people start entering in the data so we can make some better data decisions.
So give me an example of the kind of data that you would be collecting and how you use it.
Judges go to court and they don't have a lot of information when a case comes before them in court. So we looked at the systems that the state has, DHR has, AltaPoint has, and they're all broken up. And the judge, when they're on the bench, can't see all that information. And a lot of the information is not being entered. It's different departments entering what they need to get through their day. And the judges want to know more information about background of families, kids, to make better decisions for the cases.
Okay, thank you. When it said communication, that's what threw me. That I wasn't sure what that meant.
And another thing that she has done, the first round was to gather all community resources in Mobile so we can get all that information into a database so that then judges, probation officers can make decisions on where to funnel kids and families while they're in Mobile.
So they have referrals. They know places now where they can refer. Okay, thank you.
Consider University of South Alabama Board of Trustees nomination of two persons, Dr. Robert Israel and Dr. Danny Rickert, and to elect one of them as Director of the Mobile County Hospital Board for a term of 6 years. 31, adopt a resolution approving request of the county garage to dispose of certain items from the fixed assets inventory list, declare as surplus, and authorize items to be disposed. 32, authorize acceptance of a revised grant award and subrecipient agreement from the Alabama Department of Conservation and Natural Resources for the extension of effluent force main from Bala Battery Wastewater Treatment Facility project in the amount of $20,914,091 with no match required.
Tina, can you give a little bit of, I know there's been some, several meetings in Bala Battery. Will you give an update on this project and where it's at, please?
And if you know how the money, the earmark that Bala Battery got, how that plays into all of that, if you know. Okay.
Good morning. So this is a restore project. This project was included in the state expenditure plan, the bucket 3 from oil spill. So these are all oil spill dollars. And this is one of the highest priority projects identified by the Alabama Gulf Coast Recovery Council because it will help improve water quality in Portersville Bay and Mississippi Sound. What you see before you is the revised grant agreement. It's already been accepted, but there was a mistake in the grant amount. And so it's back before you because they sent us a revised document. So the construction is underway on the outfall. This is basically a two-phase project where there's one contract to construct an outfall and an additional 4 miles out, so to take it out 5 miles total. And then there's an on-base contract for improvements to the infrastructure to get the effluent from the treatment plant out to the outfall. So this is a restore project, all oil spill dollars. It's one of the many projects that were selected by the Restore Council for Bala Battery, either out of bucket 1 or bucket 3. Bucket 1 would be the City Docks project, for example, the water treatment, the water line project. So there are multiple projects ongoing in Bala Battery, either for the Water Authority or for the City of Bala Battery.
And all of these projects are being managed by your department, correct?
Yes, that's
For-
correct.
For the benefit of Bala Battery Utility and for the city of Bala Battery, correct?
Yes, sir, and really it's a benefit to the entire county and especially the south part of the county.
Absolutely.
And that's just, we have the capacity, the engineers, the scientists, and the county has the fiscal capacity to manage a $20 million or $30 million reimbursement process, if you will.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, besides the Bala Battery wastewater treatment project, how many others is your department managing? What all else do you have going on?
Well, so there are 4 in Biola Battery. I have to stop and think. 4 restore projects in Biola Battery. And then there's, 2 and 1 in Mount Vernon and Satsuma. And then the county's own projects are in our house as well. The dirt road paving,
Right.
stream restoration analysis, the Blue Way.
Thank
A
you.
lot.
I wanted you to, I know I've been to several meetings in the Bayou, and there's been some misconception from some folks who, anyway, I just wanted you to give an explanation as how this is being funded, where the funding is, who it's really cycling through, which is the county, and that we are the lead on these projects, particularly the ones in Biola Battery.
And subject to audit, and happy to provide any documentation for audit purposes or monitoring purposes. And it is a challenge, these grants. I mean, the oil spill was over 10 years ago, and we're just now turning dirt and building projects. And I can see where there's a great deal of frustration about the delay, but that's the way the process works.
Well, thank you for all that you do.
Do you know anything about the earmark?
No, ma'am. Oh, no, ma'am, I don't.
Okay.
The recent one that was announced, no, ma'am.
Right.
33, award bid to Hughes Companies for project extension of effluent force main from Biola Battery Wastewater Treatment Facility Phase 1 for their total low bid in the amount of $2,247,099.34, and authorize execution of contract documents. 34, consider taking the following action on bids. And Commissioners, we have one add-on this morning. Add-on number 1, adopt a resolution approving request of Metro Jail to dispose of certain items from the fixed assets inventory list, declare them as surplus, and authorize items to be disposed. And that's all.
Thank you. Kim, good morning. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Fine.
Thank you. Adopt resolution to accept an agreement with Alabama Power to provide power for new street lights at the roundabout at State Route 188 and Irvington Biola Battery Highway. Number 2, approve supplemental agreement number 2 with McElhaney Construction Company for project Sportsplex Drive for an additional pay item for electrical conduit and an additional 10 working days, increasing the contract amount by $90,041.60. Number 3, approve preliminary engineering, right-of-way, utility, and construction agreement between the State of Alabama and Mobile County Commission, and adopt a resolution for project McDonald Road and 3 Notch Kroner Road additional lanes. Number 4, approve construction agreement between the State of Alabama and the Mobile County Commission, and adopt a resolution for project Airport Boulevard additional lanes.
Where's that, between where and where?
That is approximately Eliza Jordan to Snow Road.
Okay.
You said Eliza Jordan to Snow.
Approximately, yes, ma'am. Number 5, approve preliminary plat only of Grady Place Phase 2 off Jeff Hamilton Road in District 3. Number 6, approve preliminary and final plat of re-subdivision of Lot 2, Block C, Pine Springs Farm off Taylor Avenue in District 3, and also preliminary and final plat of resub of Lots 4 through 6, R&R Commercial Park, Bellingrath Drive West, District 3. Approve preliminary plat only of the crossings off Lundy Road and Creel Road in District 3. Number 8, approve right-of-way and/or easement agreement for Track 5 on South Crystal Springs Road in the amount of $300 for project City of Pritchard Streets. And the formal description is a bridge replacement, but this is actually a pipe culvert replacement. Number 9, approve right-of-way and/or easement agreements on Finley Road in the amount of $2,670 for project Finley Road, grade drain, basin pave as follows. Number 10, approve right-of-way and/or easement agreements on St. Michael Street in the total amount of $3,925 for project St. Michael Street East, and Riva Road, grade drain, basin pave as follows.
How far away are we from having all the right-of-way from that project?
We are making progress on it. We still have a little bit to go, and there's a few questions that have come up that we will need to speak with you about, but
Okay.
it's going along fairly well.
Okay, thank you.
Number 11, approve non-reimbursable agreement for relocation of utility facilities on public right-of-way on Hurst Drive with Alabama Power Company for project City of Creola Streets, grade drain, basin pave. There is no cost to Mobile County. And that is all we have.
All right, thank you. Do you have anything further, ma'am? Do you want to make an announcement about your ribbon cutting tomorrow, or the ribbon cutting, or you want me to do it, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Groundbreaking.
I'm sorry. I wished it was the ribbon cutting, I
I
guess.
keep calling it that. I think I'm trying to rush things along.
Groundbreaking.
Everybody's invited tomorrow. If you can come out at 10 a.m., rain or shine. You know, it may rain some blessings on us, but that's okay. We will have our groundbreaking event, and I think it's going to be a good one.
Thank you.
It's been long awaited. A lot of people there, hopefully.
I thought about you last night when I was, our meeting, the draft plan meeting was at Bishop State, and there was some of the city swim, they were doing something in the Bishop State gym that they're having to use now, so.
Yeah, I think they're there quite a bit, but they have to take turns, so they're in
Yeah.
and out all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, I look forward to it. I'd like to announce the Alabama Gulf Seafood Invitational Cook-Off and Celebration. It's tomorrow night, September the 6th, from 6 to 9 at the Dauphin Island Community Center. It's comprised of top professional chefs and proven home cooks will be throwing their best dishes together, and there'll be a panel of judges there. And also, and the attendees will be able to sample and judge offering in the People's Choice Competition. And that's again at the Dauphin Island, the new Dauphin Island Community Center tomorrow evening. Tickets for adults are $10 and $5 for ages 12 and under. Just thought I'd give that a little.
You're a judge.
I'm not
I
a
was wondering if
judge.
she was a cook.
I'm not. I probably could be a cook. I'd probably be a better judge. But no, I'm not. But
I think you need to wrangle your way in.
I do. Cherie, why am I not? I'm not a judge in this when there's free seafood involved. So anyway.
Any cook-off is a good thing. That's a good duty to have.
So yeah, and I think Monday we have our regular meeting, and then we have an executive session to follow. Just a reminder of that.
Okay.
And if there's no further business, I guess we stand adjourned. Have you see these folks out here in the atrium on Tuesday? These people with these signs.